All right, welcome, guys. This is Politically Unhinged. It has been a while, I know. With me today is Avery. Yeah, Avery, how you doing today, man?
Doing good. I always need about 3 more pots of coffee before noon. Sorry,
Only
I was
three
typing
more.
up. I was trying to put
Yeah.
the podcast link to my story and stuff. Sorry,
Oh no, you're fine. You're fine.
but yeah, no, I'm doing good this morning.
Glad to hear it. So, my listeners know about the little twerp Harry and his butt buddy Chris. Yes. So,
Yeah, I was. Oh no, go ahead. Sorry.
yeah, that's what we know him as. We call him his butt buddy. So,
Well, butt buddy, best friends, as I put it in that one video. I sit there and like to play the what I call the TikTok word game. So I was like boy, friend, trying my best to like emphasize it into like two separate words just to make sure people got it, so I could get around the censor.
and we all know there's no space between them.
Oh yeah, no, none, absolutely none. I mean, like that's the other thing too is that I had someone the other day actually tell me what was it. They were like, Chris lives in Georgia, and I'm like, really? And when
Oh,
I kind of like realized that, I'm like, huh, you know, I want to just like not do anything bad illegal. I just want to go do simple things like turn on the faucet outside of the house just enough to where it like drips slightly and runs up the water bill gradually each month, or like, put powdered potatoes in the front yard so the next morning when it dews over, it looks like it snowed, but then it gets left there and just after a couple days probably gets nasty. Innocent things, not put billboard trucks outside of my house and fake a tragedy or call in a bomb threat, that kind of stuff.
as you can see, that there is a billboard truck that doesn't has a freaking shit transparent.
Oh my god, that was the best thing in the world. Well, it's funny because I know that when that originally got brought up, I guess like by the influencers on the right on TikTok, when that started circulating originally, Political Education, who happens to be my roommate, like came to me with this. And, for like days, weeks, months prior before like trying to get onto TikTok, like getting involved on TikTok, it became one of those things of where I uh, was trying to figure out, I guess, like, hey, wait a second, there's more to this. Because like I used to work in like campaign politics. So
Yeah.
like everything that Chris does, I know how to do. Like I wrote the playbook on some Republican strategies. So for example, a company I used to work for by the name of Vanguard Field Strategies, they are owned by Axiom Strategies. Of course, that used to be back in the day. Whenever I came on, I was just a simple door knocker. By the time I left, I was the one that was running their field program, doing the hiring, the training, the organizing. I knew how to run applications like i360, Campaign Sidekick, but the point that I'm working on up to is that with this, I sat back and I went, something's not right. Like it just politically, I looked at it and I'm like, there's more to this. And of course, when people hear that, they're going to think conspiracy, oh, it's going to be like a whole thumbtack, the strings and that kind of bullshit. But like, it wasn't. It was one of those things of where I wanted to look at it financially. I know before we had started the show, you mentioned that your grandfather had passed away. And I was talking about how I lost mine recently too. And my thing is, my grandfather's wisdom that he always taught me was follow the money. So
Yeah.
that's exactly what I did. And I went on the FEC website and I said, hold on a second. I said, why is there a payment for a box truck? Why does this payment include Harry's name? Like, I sat there and just started like reviewing the documents. I mean, it's not hard to sit there and type in dates, times, narrow it down, and what blows my mind is just like when it comes to like the fall of society, I guess we are now getting to the point where in order to make sure you keep people voting for your party, you have to stage and act and role play and just and LARP, live action role play. If you don't, most people who don't know what LARPing is, it's just it's sad. It's just sad. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the insanity that's coming from the left. I mean, like they always got to play the victim. Um, and like you have the stuff that's happening to Trump,
Oh, sorry.
and
Sorry, my bad.
oh, was
I
that
was trying
one
to.
mine?
No. Sorry, I was trying to open up a. Sorry about that. Continue.
That one was mine, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. It was. It was yours.
All right. So, yeah, that's the problem with the left. The left has to go ahead and they stage their stuff. Trump, it's because the left is going after him so much. He doesn't even have to do this. They're doing all of his campaigning for him.
Yeah, no. I mean, like that's the other thing too is that so when it comes down to like the campaign stuff, I guess like circling back to previous conversation and like with this too, a lot of people also don't realize that when you actually dissect it further and start looking into things like old news articles, you start following names on the FEC records, you realize that everything is connected to some extent. So for example, some of the names mentioned throughout different news articles, like one published by, and I may have to like fact check myself on this one. I think it was by the Post or Wall Street Journal. They have like the same font. Um, it basically was posted after the trip to DC was had, where the 20 plus influencers went and met at the White House. But the thing is, the article went into detail. It went into detail about how that Monday night they went out to dinner with DNC staffers. They had DNC administration literally speaking on how it's a great initiative that they're happy to help the White House with. I mean, you're admitting to an entire political war machine and at the same exact time trying to also like silence and censor your enemies, because like I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed anytime I post a video that remotely shows any, I guess, like criticism of Biden, it always suffers, just fucking drowns. But the moment I get some shit with, oh, I love Biden, he's fucking fantastic, he's not an Alzheimer's addled diaper shitting, like he's not, like I'm not sitting there just shitting on him. Oh, they love me. They'll fucking let my shit through the filter.
Yeah, like I've been having that stuff too. Like it's insane. They go ahead and they push the agenda that they want on the platform. It's a wonder why the Chinese wants the Democrats in. It's like Democrats are weak or something.
Yeah, and I mean that's the other thing we mentioned. You mentioned China. I don't know, like if you know much about it, or if you maybe know more than like what I could maybe have an idea on. But I'm trying to just personally figure out what I've been, I guess, like seeing more of on the For You algorithm specifically, because the one thing that I've noticed is that we suddenly went from how China owns TikTok to it seems more that's not the case. It's almost like I'm getting the opposite now, and it's like it's the US that's making the decisions. So, I mean, like, which one do you think it is personally? Because I'm still stuck on that one.
Yeah, I definitely think that it's more China involved, but they basically got like a unity with the left. That's why they're pushing all this bull crap.
Yeah, it's not even like I mean, like, yeah, I guess it's unity. I mean, to me, unity exists there. There's also what I feel like almost seems like a business contract, like that business relationship. Because I mean, like we all know about the financial like dealings between the Bidens and China. I mean, going back to when he was vice president, even recent with the one or two videos that I posted on the House subcommittee, basically, releasing that evidence they have showing, hey, there might be some, from what I understand and interpreted the situation, basically Biden was taking money he shouldn't have been taking. There could be laundering, that kind of stuff. And my thing is that if that's the case, that's just more evidence of China's in the White House. The White House is up in TikTok. It's all mixed together.
It definitely is. It definitely is, and that is the reason. Part of the reason why the West is falling as fast as it is.
Oh yeah, I mean like every single day. It's like for example, you can go on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Because I know what was it too beforehand? You asked me if I had any other socials, and I was like TikTok's all I got at the moment, but we'll get to the other ones. But as for the other ones, I mean it's with all of them. You open up and the algorithm is automatically pushing 14-year-olds wearing 14-year-old boys wearing skirts who want to be women because their parents are telling them to. You know, go onto a different app and suddenly you're watching a train that is just overflowing with illegal immigrants, like a monsoon, a tidal wave just rushing across the border. You go to a different app, you see something with pink hair that you think may be female, or maybe just a very large and overweight male, but you're not sure, and because you accidentally misgender it, you suddenly get banned. I mean, that's just how it is. That's how you know we've reached death as a society, when you can't even go on a fucking social media platform without getting your shit kicked.
Yeah, I mean, like, in conclusion, with like the people that you were talking about, with like
Yeah.
that are very over. I just call this Jabas now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Jabas.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah, yeah. Now it's very offensive to Jabba the Hutt, because Jabba the Hutt looks a lot nicer than they do. But
And I mean, that's the other thing too, is that when it comes to the fall of society, I feel like there's other aspects with that too. I mean, like, you have to look at the fall, not the fall. You have to look at the total, I guess, like, dissolving it's of communication. When I say that, it's just a breakdown of just conversation in general with other people. Because I mean, like, I even see it in comments across different social media platforms on my TikTok videos, where you have people like you and I that can sit here and we can actually try and have somewhat of a coherent conversation. Of course, some people are probably listening to me like, Jesus, did this guy like take speed and Xanax at the same time? But the point being is that when it comes down to it, you can see that the left is absolutely devolving socially, because I try to bring up a valid factual argument. They turn around and argue how it's invalid because they always base it off an emotion or how they see it, or it's always about how they feel, how they see it, something sensory. It's never anything logic based. And anytime you constantly combat what I call the idiocracy with logic, you're going to get met with, eventually, you're being homophobic, you're being racist, you're being sexist, you're being transphobic, you're being Islamophobic. That's my favorite one right now. When I'm coming out and trying to state the facts about Israel, I'm trying to state the facts about Palestine, but I'm being Islamophobic, or whatever the term is. I'm not scared of Islam, I'm not scared of Arabs. Unless I go over there and then they find out I'm gay, then I would be scared. But that's a different story.
yeah, and you're talking about the dissolvation of the society. So, like, we got the people on the left that are part of the alphabet community, yeah, is supporting Palestine.
The Velvet
Oh
Mafia.
my god! Like, I don't understand like how delusional you have to be part of that alphabet community and go ahead and support literal people that will kill you.
Well, I mean, like, when it comes to, I mean, like, that thought process, that in essence alone, like, I love to be able to use the card of, like, speaking for my community, as I've heard so many of those other yahoos
Yeah.
use. I spent like 7-8 months living in Atlanta, and one of the things that I wanted to do to make sure that, like, I had proper socialization and was around people and, like, you know lived and did normal, decent fucking human things, I was like, hey, I'm gonna be part of the neighborhood. I'm never making that fucking mistake again. Ever. If I had the option of slamming my hand in a car door or living in the neighborhood for a month, I will slam both my hands and my cock in the car door before I live a week in the neighborhood again. Because the problem is, the moment you mention anything that is opposite of their views, you will get cannibalized.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Fuck that.
Yeah, I mean, like, even with people that are around our age, it's just like, as soon as you say something that is slightly different from the norm, you're automatically canceled for no fucking reason.
Oh, yeah. And then that's the other thing, too, is that, like, it's funny how I've met people that are more scared. And by I've met people, like, in conversation, you'll find yourself having like what I call the ADHD moment of where you feel like asking a random question to see if other people feel the same way. It's one of those passing questions. I will ask people, what are you more scared of? Death or getting canceled? They choose getting canceled. That's scarier than death.
Well, I'm not scared of death or being canceled. I just don't give a shit. Like,
I mean, I'm not scared of both. I'm just scared of paying more taxes.
let's make income tax.
At this point, I can't get unemployment. I can't get food stamps. I'm trying my best to hold on to my job unless the economy goes south any further. If it does, then I don't know. That street corner may start calling for me.
Well, you gonna have your high heels on and the fucking booty shorts, going like, "Hey
They
boys!"
they may think I'm on my way to run the office if that's the case with how things are nowadays. I don't want to get it mixed up. I actually, in this case, we'd have to reverse the roles, and I'd still be wearing like a 3-piece suit, tie.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the ones that look like hookers that are now running the offices.
Yeah, it's honestly freaking unbelievable that this stuff is happening.
Well,
And-
sorry, go ahead.
oh, you go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, and then, with the job thing too, it kind of reminds me of how, with the fall of society, that also plays into like, forget like the social stuff, we kind of touched on that. I feel like we need to circle back to it, but I wanted to like briefly segue into this one. It's like with economics. I go into a job interview as an example, 2 months ago, it was at Quick Trip. And I think one of the funniest things ever was how basically after the most horrendous experience of just simply trying to get to the interview, right? Because from the way they text you and the way they inform you, it seems like you're walking right into an interview. No, that's not the case. You walk into doing some dumb online test and filling out a physical paper application and basically taking even more steps and then coming back a different day to do your interview. So I had made a joke to the lady at the front desk. I guess like she may have like misinterpreted it because I was referring to how, if anything, I was happy that the process was streamlined, efficient. Like I was, trying to be complimentary because I could have been bitching to her like I wanted to. Well, she decided to, be bitchy, start arguing at me about how, and I quote, you must not want a job. And then she proceeded to grab the application out of my hand and pull it back past her head. And I looked at her and I went, "Excuse me?" And she goes, what's your problem? Are you going to continue harassing me? And she like looked me up and down and I realized what was going on in that moment. It's the first time I had ever caught it that quickly. I looked at her and I did the same exact thing. I looked her up and down and I went, "Why would I harass you? What? Are you homophobic?" And then I watched like the wheel turn, but this is the first time I've ever seen this happen. I've never witnessed this before. The wheel turn in her head. I saw it click. And then instead of getting the reaction I thought I would get, where she would start yelling and fighting against it and just, saying more dumb, obnoxious shit, she starts apologizing and panicking. So at that moment, I went, "Let's do this." And I took it fucking further to the point of where I was suddenly in some dude's office. I don't even know. I just know he was wearing loafers, some kind of like North Face, like sports jacket, holding one of the nice coffee cups. I know he makes fucking money and cheats on his wife. But what I know is that he got that lady fired and still tried to offer me a job. And I just told him no, because that's not the shit that I want in my society anymore. I'm so sick and tired of that kind of shit being people's response and answer to fucking everything and anything, honestly, at this rate. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten so far out there that it's just like, is this really what we're doing now?
Oh yeah.
This is why, like, I've made up my own bullshit, like, right on the spot. But when like they tell that shit to me, I just say whatever bullshit that comes to my mind. Like I go like, "What are you, chair phobic?" Because I identify as a chair. What the fuck's wrong with you?
It's ma'am. I have no idea why that made my last brain cell just suddenly bring that meme back. Because like that's kind of how it feels for me at times. You know, I've had people. It's like with the, I guess, like the gay thing. They always have to make it a social issue, and it's funny because I feel like I'm going to be fair on this one. Republicans also do the same thing, because I know I've been shitting on the left. I've been shitting on Democrats, and I will be honest. Republicans did one thing wrong to me, and it was they made me their token gay guy in 2016.
Yeah.
Because that's all they saw and that's all they cared about. And I realized that. And if they really cared about like what I did, what I contributed, if they truly cared about the actual merit of an individual as the Republican Party likes to claim, right? Then they would have focused less on my sexuality and allowed me to keep my job at Vanguard instead of telling me, no, you cannot be promoted because your sexuality may offend future clients. Who gives a fuck if I offend future fucking clients? I didn't want to fucking help them get into office anyways.
Yeah.
Like, any campaign I get on, I will put it like this. I have worked over, let me sit here and think real quick. 1, 2, 3. I would say I've worked a little over 30 different campaigns since 2015. About 30 different ones, and that's anywhere from 3 to 4 days to I was there for 5 months. And what I will say is this, out of that, I know off the top of my head I've lost 2 campaigns. And what drives me up a wall is that Republicans still want to sit back and constantly point at the left and say they're the party that constantly causes social issues and yada yada, label everything X, Y, and Z, insert Republican rhetoric where we blame the left for using fucking labels. But why are we going to do the same thing? That's also contributing to the fall of society. If you want to be better than them, then be better than them and stop labeling everything.
I 100% agree. I mean, like this is why, like I tell people, the Republican Party today is just the Democratic Party, like about 30 years ago. We're heading on to the same freaking bullshit, just at a later date. Right now, that's what it seems like.
Oh yeah, and that's the other thing too is that like when it comes down to it, I totally lost my train of thought. Help me segue here and get onto something new. I literally like blanked out. I had a Fetterman. Sorry.
Fetterman, yeah. Biden, same fucking thing.
Fucking A, yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about Fetterman. What the fuck did you think about that asshole going on ahead and freaking dressing in gym clothes?
You know, I'm going to put it like this. There have been plenty of times, like, my experience. So, like, funny story. I'm gonna use this to explain my thoughts on it, okay? And I'll make it short. My Snapchat name from high school was Sweatpants Guy for years, right? Okay? And people always think the dirtiest thoughts when they hear that. You want to know why it was Sweatpants Guy? It's because my ass was so fucking tired and lazy during senior year that all you ever saw me wear was the shirt I wore to bed the night before and the fucking sweatpants I just found the next morning. Because I said, fuck it, I'm ready to get up out of here. But when you go into the Capitol, when you literally are representing the people in gym shorts and a polo, how do you expect anyone to take you serious? How do you expect anyone to take any of that serious? And, you know, I understand that a lot of people may argue, like, you know, hey, that could be ableist, this could be discriminatory. I don't care. You literally can watch, aside from Biden, the level at which his capacity to speak, to think, to reason has been impacted because of his stroke. And I'm not saying that, you know, he should be removed because he had a stroke. I think he should be removed because he's a piece of shit Democrat. But I think the left should give him a break and literally let him rest. The guy had a stroke. He barely functions. Fucking A. Like, it's the same thing with Biden. I hate his ass. Can't fucking stand him. If the president of the United States was on fire in front of me right now, begging for fucking help, and I had a glass of water in my hand, I would fucking stand there and take a sip like this. And I would fucking go, ah, until he stopped screaming. But I think the left is hurting him more than what the right could ever do by milking him. He's too old. Let the fucker rest. Send him out to pasture, you know? Like a dog you finally take to an old folks' home and let him rest and hang out with all the old people, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
pity him.
He doesn't know where he is half the time anyway. Well, not even half the time, all the time, let's be honest. So...
And I mean, like, that's the other thing, too. I've heard the excuse and the argument so many times over. Well, he's 81. Motherfucker, I didn't know he was 81. If I knew that, look, George Washington would have risen from the grave if that little fact was known before the election. And, like, what blows my mind with it is that at 81 years old, we're focused on his age, we're focused on him. What about the rest of them? I mean, look at Dianne Feinstein, or whatever her name was. She reminds me of the little dried up fish that sits in the wheelchair in that SpongeBob skit with the chocolate.
What are you selling?
That's exactly what she reminds me of, because when you Google what was invented after her, like when she was born and what came after her, right? Chocolate chip cookies, Tupperware. There was one other thing that blew my mind. Like, there are so many inventions and things that you and I and anyone else uses today that was like brand new when these people were like in elementary, middle school. They're that geriatric.
Yeah, I mean, the United States of the gerontocracy, everyone. Like, freaking, in an earlier podcast, I actually dove into everything. I even pointed out that, like, I think in the Senate, all right, the median age was like 61. And then the House was just slightly better at like 59.
Oh, yeah. It gets better, I feel like, when you hit the median sweet spot age, because to me, what I would consider the prime age of a candidate as well as a representative, just from like background experience, would be between the ages of 50 to 60. And people are going to disagree with me, but here's the reason. I think that anything from 40, 45 to 50 is still too young. But I think that anything after 60 to 65 is going to be too old, because that 50 to 60 is the sweet spot where you still have just enough reach to the generation that came before you, and you have the just enough reach to still be relatable to the generation that comes after you. And we're not seeing that. We are seeing 80s, 70s. We're seeing people that look like Roombas that can't find the charging station walk around on stages and trip downstairs, and I need a Valium now after thinking about it.
Yeah, and like here's the thing. This is why, like, I tell a lot of Republicans, we can't have it both ways. If we're saying Biden's too old, we might as well say Trump's too old as well. Like
oh yeah. Like, that's my thing. I love Trump.
Yep.
Would take a bullet for that man. I would literally follow him through the gates of hell, no questions asked. Jan 6, different story. I just sat back and made memes and pretended nothing happened. But the point being was that with Trump, like, I think he's here. I'm actually going to look it up real quick to make sure. Age of, hang on.
I think he's like 77, 78.
Let's see. Yeah, 77 years old. He was born June 14th, 1946. He's literally 4 years younger than Biden. And even if he's only 4 years younger, you can tell from photos of when he went into office to photos of now, he's not aging well. And, you know, it's not because of the spray tans. It's not because of the toupee losing, you know, the adhesive on those strips that they use. It's literally just the fact that he's 77.
Yeah.
Like, he's old. He's kind of too old. And my question is, it's 2024. He'll be 78 Either this year or next year. It's one or the other.
Next
But
year, because his birthday is on Flag Day.
June. I even just said it too.
Yeah.
We've been talking about the idiocracy is starting to get to me now. But no, he'll be 78 next year. So let's say hypothetically he gets elected next year, becomes president, term starts 2025. Let's see, 78, 82, 83. He'll be about 82, 83 when the next president gets in, if he's a one-termer on this one.
He would have to be.
He would have to be.
Yeah, you can only serve 8 years.
Okay, see, I wasn't sure if like the whole impeachment thing reset that or not, and that helps me clarify that. And off topic, I will say this. At least with me, and I try to tell people this in the comment sections on my videos, if I say something wrong or if I don't know something, and if you don't hear me admit it or catch it, point it out, because at least I'm going to turn around and go, ah, shit, I was wrong, thanks. Unlike the rest of those fuckers.
Yeah, that's what I do too. Like, I don't believe in like deleting my stuff on the internet. I believe in retracting. Because like if I say something fucking stupid, then all right, whatever. I'll freaking go like, hey guys, I fucked up on that video. Whatever.
Yeah. I mean, but that's my thing too, is like I have no issue with it. That comes from that just comes from like what family instilled in me, what I learned through politics, what I've learned through like my personal work. What I've learned is admitting to when you mess up and not knowing, like that is the key to success. And that's honestly what's been key to, I guess, like starting up a TikTok so quickly, especially at the rate that I started it, because I think I only had like maybe 100, maybe 200 followers when I started it. And then like a week, 2 weeks ago, I just started posting, and all of a sudden I'm close to hitting the 4,000 mark. I'm trying to see how quickly I can get to the 10,000. And I've realized the more and more that I keep at it and keep practicing that, what I was talking about, then I wonder exactly how much quicker it'll go. Just because of the fact that one of the videos that I want to make tomorrow, for example, I don't want to like go into too much detail about it. It's specifically going to have to do with the fact that I was watching one of Harry's lives and one of my followers was in there. And I watched the way that he not only started reacting and talking to her, I watched him treat her the way that I know he would treat any other woman. And the fact that I was able to record that, no less, to me, it's war. That's the only way you can correct behavior and issues like that. And it's like with the fall of society, the fall of the U.S., and like with how things have been. To me, the only way to, I guess, like prevent that kind of stuff, to start combating against it, is to do things like that. You have to play their game against them, even if it gets dirty. And I know that I specifically target Democrats, but I would almost like to play devil's advocate and argue that I hope that there's a Democrat out there who's doing that to a Republican. Now, of course, someone could say, well, isn't that Harry? No, because Harry's paid. Trust me, I wish I was fucking making that kind of money to do that.
Yeah, I mean, at least $100,000 a year. Fucking
shit. I just wake up and do this for free. I like going through the comments and just liking people's, little feedback and thanking them. And, I'll see sometimes where someone will have just commented and I'll hit it quick and be like, hey, thanks for the support. And I just like being able to do that. It's nice. And I never see him do that. I see how he replies and I see how he responds. And I feel like it kind of almost goes full circle back to what we had first mentioned, that social the dissolving of like the social communication between people. It's just evident with how he interacts with his followers and with his people. It's not like that disillusioned or disassociated or out of touch, I guess is the best term, the word I'm using, or the phrase I'm using. It's not an out of touch influencer. It's literally someone who just does not care.
Yeah.
At all. And it's scary.
It is. I mean, like, I'm also like you. I mean, if you look at the video that just blew up on TikTok for me, I honestly, No fucking clue that was going to
It
blow
was
up
great.
because it was my worst fucking one that I've ever done. Because
Twas
like,
tremendous.
oh my god, because like I do a lot of satire stuff as well. Well, because comedian, gotta do satire, right?
Yeah.
Right. But like, I had no clue that was going to be the thing that blew up. And as soon as it did, as soon as it passed, like about 70,000 views, I went ahead and I thanked everyone. Harry just doesn't give a shit.
And, I use, again, Harry as an example just because he makes it so easy.
Yeah.
I've seen other people do that too. Now, I will say this, and the only reason I'm going to say it is because I don't want to, like, say it and conservative or Republican TikTokers misinterpret it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use my own roommate as an example because he'll understand it. Political_education on TikTok for those of you, and I assume he uses the same handle everywhere else. He has had his moments where he will argue with people in his comment section. He will complain about what someone has said to me, or he'll do that kind of stuff, right? And I've turned around and I've told him, you can't argue with people in your comment section. Can't do that. And I've also given him advice. I'm like, if you do choose to argue, though, here's how I would word it. Here's how I would respond. Because what I want to do is help him basically try to use what's been successful for me when it comes to like that engagement factor. Because the thing is, he's been doing this longer than I have, and he's been doing this a lot, I would say, better, just because he's got all those likes, he's got the following, etc. But at the end of the day, the big problem that I've noticed with the conservative Republican TikTok, I guess, influencer community is that they're starting to lose the social touch. We're starting to see that decline, that fall, kind of similar to what we see outside of social media and what we see in the US. And it's the little actions like that of, hey, I wouldn't do this, I would try it this way, or hey, don't do that because here's what'll happen. If little efforts like that make better impacts, then do it. Because now, from what I've seen just by watching his analytics and stuff, like he's had better responses, better feedback, better views. And I'm not saying it's because it's a method that works for me. It's because that's what people need. People want that interaction. They want that engagement. They want that sense of community. And that's what's causing, I feel like, another aspect that you could look at is the lack of community that exists. Because since he's easy to talk about, since Harry is paid, it's easy for a mercenary to drop their loyalties, for example.
Yeah.
But, with me, I do this because I just believe in the cause. That's it. I don't do this because I get paid or get anything fancy out of it. I mean, you should see the DMs and nasty messages I get. I mean, hell, I had someone already make a fake Twitter. And I turned around and made a video and I was like, you're an idiot, whoever you are. I have my Twitter. Here it is. You can also see who I'm following. I wouldn't click on their profiles though.
Yeah.
And like, it's just stuff like that. What I try to do, what I'm wanting to do now is basically start going into what I call like damage control. And I want to actually do it, but do it right and be more public and be more transparent about it, which is why, like in this instance, I want people to see and understand that, like, hey, I'm not dogging on other influencers. I'm simply pointing out that these are little things that if other people cannot catch and cannot fix, it's like not seeing the crack in the dam before the dam broke. If you catch my meaning, or I guess if that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely makes sense. 12 Gauge says the left wants us to fighting against one another, bickering. We have to come together as right wing creators to fight the insanity they want. Keep up the good work, boys. Well, yep, that's actually what we were saying in our messages before the show, actually.
Oh, yeah. Don't
Yeah.
tread on memes.
Yep.
I told someone, I told political education, I've told drunken, I've told a few other of my friends that and drunken is the name I use for a friend of mine. I've told a lot of these people that I want to make a flag styled after the "Don't Tread on Me," but it's the "Don't Tread." It says "Don't Tread on Memes," and we take the trash pigeon, the one that they used for their reaction on Facebook, that they all hated, that the left hated because they were like, it's an alt-right symbol. And I just want to put it on that flag. And I can have a Don't Tread on Memes flag made.
That would be amazing. I'd buy it.
I'd figure out how to keep it cheap just so I could sell as many as I could. Because, like, I need to have the money to make them, but, like, I want to make it cheap and good, obviously, so it lasts. But, like, I want to make them cheap so people can get them. And it not be one of those dumb things where it's like, oh, you can get one of these custom flags, and you pull it up, it's like $65, and you're like, shit.
Yeah, try to sell it, like, at cost.
Yeah, because, like, I don't care. Any extra money, I'm just going to, I don't know, donate or give or spend on my cats, one or the other.
Wow.
Yeah.
Your crazy cat lady got it.
Crazy cat gay. It's easier than dealing with gay liberals, trust me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Makes sense. I mean, freaking liberals are just insane anyway, but yeah, yeah. I mean, that's why, like, when I have my merch, right? I sell it in such a way where, like, at most I'm making like $2 off it.
Oh yeah. I think I even got political education into merch. He's got hoodies that he had made that it was funny. Me, him, and another and the friend I mentioned, Drunken, or he goes by I think Polish Millennial on TikTok as well. Me, him, and Polly, all three of us were all sitting in Discord the day that I think the mugshot happened with Trump, and that's where we just kind of like went in with it, because it was one of those moments where I had realized, wait a second, I don't see anyone else making these hoodies just yet. Oh
Yeah.
my god, we finally caught one of these fucking moments before it happens. You should have seen me, Polly, the rest of us. We were fucking rushing like madmen, working to get something just cranked out so we could start doing it. And yeah, the merch stuff is good. I noticed that Harry and Chris started doing merch, and that kind of I wanted to start looking into that and start investigating that personally on a
Yeah.
financial, I guess, like ground. Just because to me, if the checks are good from the DNC, if the checks are good from the left, if Democrats are paying these boys so well, why are we selling merch now? Are we getting greedy, or is it because the checks are starting to bounce?
Yeah.
Is kind of the way I'm looking at it, because you only really launch stuff like that for one of two reasons. You're wanting to make more money, or you're wanting to make more money to do more stuff. And in their case, they've already expanded as is. They're already everywhere they can possibly be. They're already making as much money as someone can reasonably make at the age of 20 going to a college like NYU. What other purpose do you need money for unless mama and daddy cut off your credit card because of your bomb threat to the college?
Okay. So 12 gauge says Harry claims they are going to charity, but there is no evidence of it.
Fucking charity, my ass. What charity is it going to? His fucking bailout fund?
AIDS.
Ah,
Yes.
that's exactly what he is. He makes me have it every time I hear him. The only reason it gets cured is because I stopped listening. He makes me want to eat nails sometimes, and not fingernails, like actual metal nails.
No, I mean, like what you were saying. I mean, with like the merch and all. I mean, it's how like you guys said that you jumped on it. So as soon as like Bud Light went fucking woke, this is the merch that I started selling.
Hang on, where's it at?
It says, "Don't pass me a Bud Light if it's not showing yet." Let me see.
Hang on, don't pass me a Bud Light. I'm not gay.
Yeah.
Ah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I want one now. Hang on. What are the other colors?
Yeah, it's all different colors. So it's just like
I
a
love it.
black, a teal blue, and like a red. And then I also have some Pride merch if you want to see that.
See, I'm sad because I used to have an OG Trump campaign shirt that said "Make America Gay Again," and you would never be able to get this shirt.
Yeah.
It was one of these you had to fucking call a person who had to call a person who had to call a person. Like, I had to pull some strings, I had to kiss ass, and I had to pretend to like people that I plead the fifth on what I would have done. But these people, the shirt was beautiful. It was just a regular white T-shirt with the fucking black Make America, and then it just says "gay" in the rainbow, and then again in black, and then it's just red on the sleeves, like a little stripe around the cuffs of the sleeves. That's it. Like, it was just a super simple, just easy, detailed shirt. And what I loved about that shirt is wearing it in public because of the power of perception. Because my favorite is the little old dude on like the scooter at Walmart who would see the shirt and he'd start giving me like the shaky head, like thumbs up and yes. And then he'd do a fucking double take like he's 21 again. Like he had that young adult male energy just suddenly come back after decades of dormant storage. And he'd do a double take and look at me and realize what he'd agree with. And I love doing the whole fingers to the eyes back to him because I know what pact he just made. or like, my favorite is like the liberal people. They're like, oh, I love your shirt. And then they stop because then they read the message again and they fucking walk away. It's like wearing mosquito repellent.
Yeah, that's. I mean, the liberals will also hate this one as well. So Ken requested in pink. I'm still working on that for this one.
You're talking about Ken Carson?
Yep, he requested it in pink, so I'm working on it for him to do that. But he absolutely loves this shirt. So it says, I support pride, right?
Uh-huh.
Ready for the back?
Hang on, I'm waiting on it to... It's loading. I got the little spinny wheel. Let's see. Yeah. Patriotism.
Ruger, independent thinkers.
I actually like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll send you the links.
You know what? Hear me out. We can't talk about it here, but after the show, I've got a business proposition for you.
All right.
I'm about to teach people what happens when you accidentally make a deal with the devil.
All right, sounds good. All right, so 12 Gauge says that it was Trump's version of the Got Milk shirt that Harvey Milk used back in the day.
Oh my God! Or no, what's the other one I've seen? I've seen it on stickers though on trucks, and it says LGBT, and it's like, what is it? Liberty, guns,
Liberty, guns, bacon, Trump.
Yeah. And it's even got like the little images with it. And my mom one time, I think she was doing it just because like my mom's the loving, supportive lady. But to describe her politics, just pot smoking libertarian is the best way I could like put it without the pot though, and more religious-y and conservative somehow. It's weird. She's an enigma. But the where was I going with that thought? What did you say beforehand? Help me out here.
We were talking about the fucking shirt.
Yeah, that's right. She saw the sticker and she went, "Oh, that's so offensive." Followed by me almost instantly going, "I fucking want one." And she just turns and looks at me and goes, "I kind of want one too." And I was like, "Mom, it's okay. You're good. Don't worry. I'm not one of them."
Oh no, you should see the shit that like my family has for like t-shirts. So like I was up in Ocean City, Maryland, last week getting my mental health in order.
Felt.
Yeah, so I went to the store Sensations there. I was gonna get the shirt with Trump's mugshot on there that said "Never Surrender."
Mm-hmm.
But god damn it, the freaking Marine shirt jumped out at me. My grandfather was Marine. I bought that instead.
You know what excites me, and I guess like just segueing away from like the merchandise stuff. What excites me about the mugshot, just reviving that old thing since we've mentioned it a few times. I don't think the left, I don't think anyone really understands the implications of what that mugshot has done. See, now that we're not on TikTok, I can say it. That was his Mein Kampf.
Yep.
That was his Mein Kampf. We fucked up. We done did it now. It's over. He's coming for him. I tried to warn him. I tried to tell him. I tried to tell him for years, and ain't nobody listened. And guess what's about to happen? I'm going to watch the Cheeto tear him apart. And I got to look away while it happens because it's going to be a massacre.
Yeah, I'm not sure about your research to it. So ever since Trump got that mugshot released, man, the freaking support on the black side. Oh my god, dude! Like I got it at least going for 20% for Trump, which will easily give him the election.
Speaking as someone who lives in Georgia, who is from Georgia, because, I fucking heard, what was it, Chris Mowry and Harry one night trying to talk about Georgia. Because the night that I specifically was trying to go on there live was because they mentioned Georgia. Because one, the audacity. And number two, you don't know shit down here, boy. Because, like, Fulton County, DeKalb County, and Gwinnett County, all three suck. And if anyone lives in the counties that I mentioned, if any of the listeners here live in one of those counties, move. Go anywhere else in the state. Please, we beg you. This place sucks. It's suburban hell. Everyone is out of touch. There's too many damn immigrants, and it's all fucking liberals. I'm sick of it. It is a hellscape. And it's just absolutely getting to the fucking point where I think people are not only realizing that same sentiment, but when I see black people and other minority communities in these three counties now supporting Trump, oh, it's over. Oh, it's over. Oh, they done did it. When I saw Trump signs and minorities in the ghettos in Georgia supporting Trump and hailing him like a hero as he's going to Zone 6 to get booked. And people don't get Zone 6. That's where you go and you ain't ever coming back when you go to get booked. I know this because I used to work in corrections. And the fact that he just walked out of there, he was like, here, I'm going to just write you a check. Is this enough? And then he just probably fucking walked out after that couple minutes, And here's the thing. It wasn't even a couple minutes. I bet they were in there doing fucking photo shoots. They were having a grand old time, probably.
He was taking pictures with all the cops there easily.
Oh, yeah. And I bet they'll never fucking release those ever until like a year from now because they don't want people to see that when he got there that he wasn't booked for... as the criminal he is because he's such a tyrant. He was fucking welcomed like the fucking presidential hero he is, motherfuckers.
Yeah, I mean, like, anyone that actually voted for Biden, which there's probably, like, all two people, in all honesty.
Fucking two
why?
Yeah, and that's the other thing. Harry and Chris, Under the Desk News, Rathbone, all of these influencers I have seen. They all want to deny election interference.
Yeah.
Newsflash, Jack. I worked these elections in which were interfered. And guess what? The interference was not from I or any other Republican because there's nothing like the time I was in Texas. Let's see, 2019. It was the mayor's race. And I'm not going to say which candidate, because it also involved the city council race, but there's nothing like showing up to a fucking graveyard because a canvasser calls you, because they think their app is messed up, because they've tried resetting it and re-downloading and X, Y, and Z, and it keeps putting the map pins here, and they don't understand why, so they send me the address not telling me it's a fucking graveyard, right? And I show up, and in my head I'm thinking, okay, this is weird, it's sus, because, you see it in movies, and you see it on, like, TikTok clips and reels, and you see it on TV shows, you see it everywhere, and you would never think it's real until I also pull up the app on my phone and I see the pins are all around us in this graveyard instead of in the neighborhoods, and I'm confused myself. Polly does the same exact shit. He's getting the same issue. So then all three of us, out of scientific curiosity, decide to look around at some of the tombstones. And you're going to fucking tell me we find 58 voters and all 58 are on these tombstones in this graveyard? You want to know what the GOP probably did with this, though? Because here's what they did, and I can tell you what they did. I will almost guarantee that this data that we gave conservatives after we had collected it was then taken and put into a file, and then that file was shut and dropped. Yep. And then a year to 2 years later, they all want to talk about election interference. And see, that's, turning it around, that's what also ticks me off about conservatives. Because, I vote Republican. I will always support Republicans. I will always support conservatism. But What ticks me off about the damn party is the fact that we fucking cried about election interference, yet when people like me and many others who've worked these elections came to these people with the evidence, with many and various cases, no matter how small or big, they did shit.
Yeah.
They did nothing.
All right. Yep. All right.
Yeah.
So, real quick, 12 Gauge said two things. Minority support for Trump or just the right has been rising steadily since Biden took office. I don't think RFK being an independent will hurt Trump nearly as much as it will the Dems. 100%. And he says, fun fact, there were more votes counted in the election than there are eligible voters in America. Also, severe Dem congressmen and have been ousted for ballot harvesting. Yeah. So that's actually what I got Harry's live removed from. Sorry, not Harry. Chris's live removed on TikTok yesterday. Yeah, was that bullshit?
I worked in the state of Washington in 2019, and let's see, what year is it? 2013? 2023? My bad. Ah, shit, my NDA is over. Fuck it. Yeah, so I worked in Washington on a contract for the Secretary of State's office, specifically for a conservative client, from what my understanding was. And initially, the official contract was that we were there to do ballot harvesting. Unofficially, we were there trying to see what the fuck was going on with these write-in ballots, because the state of Washington only does write-in. They don't do the whole in-person go vote. They mail out the ballots to everyone. If I had $1 for every empty lot we showed up to that had a ballot casted, like within the past year, if I had $1 for every time I went to an empty lot, I went to a house where that person was dead or had not lived in the state for over 5 years. If I had been to a house, every single ballot that we attempted to track, specifically for this contract, either went to a dead end or a dead person. It was one or the other. And people ask me, well, how do you know this? My job specifically on this contract was 6 days a week for 2 weeks, 10 hours a day. I was sitting in a hotel room calling voters. And I was making about 2 to 3 phone calls every minute, because that's how quick the conversations would go, just to confirm, like, if I'm speaking to who I'm speaking to, I ask them basically a question on, you had to word it in a way where you had to be careful, because like we're trying to protect these people's like information, we're trying to protect like the elections, trying to protect votes, and simultaneously we're trying to just confirm, like, hey, did you happen to cast a ballot this year? Would you agree that this is the signature that you put? And we're just trying to confirm the information that the Secretary of State's office has to then cross-reference to all these additional ballots they have. So it's basically cross-comparing data is what I'm trying to explain without, I guess, like accidentally doxing a voter. And it just drives me up a wall that, this kind of stuff is painted as a conspiracy. It's a lie. It's just some crazy cooked up theory that the right flings at the left to try and gain clout. No, it's not. I have lived it. I have fucking seen it. I have seen shit in elections that would keep people in this country awake at night the way it still keeps me awake.
Yep.
The way that it keeps Polly awake at times. I mean, shit, I'm sitting here right now. If I had a camera, I would show people. I'm looking at the Reed Award on my wall for campaigns and elections with the names of people on it that no longer talk to Polly and I because of the shit we've seen. But Chris and Harry still, and people like that, still want to continue denying that, election interference happened.
Yeah, I mean, they said, "Oh, it didn't happen," and then it was freaking glorious. I got taken down. I was in there for like 5 seconds, and they started talking about it, and I reported it.
Well, it was like night before. Was it yesterday? No, was it day before? Was it yesterday or day before yesterday? I think it was the day before yesterday.
Yeah, I was about to say. I think you said it was like 2 days ago when you got taken down.
And the reason I did it was because I was sitting there and he said some stuff that literally was anti-Semitic. There was no denying it. And, I'll be honest, I've said some fuck shit. I have no chance in hell when it comes to running for office ever, because like if I ever got doxxed or like someone leaked the group chats, I've got a lot of shit that I'll be busy covering and being like, look, the memes were too dank, that joke was too hot, it was a simpler time, that kind of stuff probably. But my whole point is like when it comes to them and that logic and that mentality, though, it's like we'll hang someone like me for it, but when it comes to them, we try to justify it. And I
Yeah.
don't understand that standard either. I feel like that's also another one of the many parts of that's another part and issue that exists in this country when it comes to that decline as well, is the fact that we have so much bias that's evident and it's apparent, no less. I mean, the bias that exists, for example, on TikTok when you don't use the right words, the right rhetoric, etc. And the one thing that I had mentioned in one of my videos was Operation, what I jokingly called Operation Allied Attrition. The reason I called it that was because I wanted to, one, just be memey, cheesy, and cringy and give it like a fucking military like operational name, but then two, I was sitting there and I was like, I'm so fucking sick and tired of these idiots. I want to fight them, but I want to make it a fight that's long, costly, and bloody, metaphorically, for them. Because it's theirs to lose, it's ours to win. So that's my mentality of the operation, and the operation is a very simple, no plans, no, Machiavellian, grandiose, crescendo, like long scheming. It's literally step one, play the word game and you abuse the algorithm. Because
Yeah.
it's like with Harry, that's why I did those Harry TikTok videos where I was wearing the hoodie and acting like him, because it fucks up their algorithm. It does. The mannerisms, the vocabulary, the colors, and the overall presentation fucks up their algorithm. If you do it differently though, and you don't use these keywords, you don't use the hoodie that I used, for example, and you do a completely different video like you want to do, where you still say the same exact thing as yourself, the algorithm screws you though. And it's obvious because I've recorded it several times, and that's also part of what I'm wanting to do with this operation is I want to basically begin a private conservative think tank, some kind of organization of some kind, and our whole purpose is to start working with platforms and AI and start implementing them strategically against the left. I
Yeah.
basically want to help Republicans and conservatives alike do what the left is doing, but let's do it better.
Yeah, that's definitely what we got to do in this instance. It's one of those things that where like we got to use the same tools that they have at their disposal. But the thing is that the Republicans, Republicans and conservatives are like, what we tend to do is that we just sit there and we go like, oh, we have to keep on doing things how we have been doing them for the last 50, 60, 70 years. But we got to understand that we have these platforms now. We need to start using them.
Oh yeah. I mean that's one thing that I brought up to Polly is that we are going to get slaughtered in the technological arms race
Yeah.
against Democrats, because a good example would be when I think there was one time it was one time like a year ago, maybe 2 years ago. I wanted to prove to some people how dumb Democrats are. So I decided to literally go to one of my local like county Democrat offices, and I walked in. I put on the gay card as hard as I could, was talking about the boyfriend, my union at the job that I had. I was playing all the liberal cards, and after 3 hours had access to Minivan, their application they use for walking their neighborhoods. They gave me administrative access so I could see the back end and cut walkbooks and help them make them. They gave me copies of all of their literature. They gave me copies of all of their voter names by giving me the access that they gave me. And then they, on top of that, let me still walk away with not only the login access, but all of the screenshots and pictures I then took and turned around and gave to the Georgia Republican Party. They're
Yeah.
fucking idiots.
Yeah, they are. They are. So we've been talking about the fall. Now, how do we fix it? All right.
Well, I mean, been touching on it slightly, but
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah. So I think a lot of it has to start with re-implementing Judeo-Christian values in the United States.
I mean, see, the Christian values, it works, but it doesn't. The
Yeah.
problem is that it works because I myself am not a religious person, but I am not totally against religion, nor am I totally non-practicing. It's just that, to be honest, I literally just don't have the fucking time to go to church. Number
Uh,
two,
that's me. Yep.
the big man upstairs can hopefully understand that I am trying to do the Lord's work elsewhere, but a boy has got to rest on Sunday.
Yeah.
I do not want to go sit in church with people that are pretending to be Christian. If I wanted to be a car, then I would go sit in my garage and make noises like one. You know, I mean, that's my whole
Yeah.
shtick on that. But if you really want to, I guess, like start at fixing the country, the religious part would be good because of the fact that it breaks down to, I don't think we necessarily need to be instilling Christian values strictly, but I think we need to be instilling some type of religious moral compass. I think it is good for people to get back to spiritualness, whether it's Christianity, whether it's Islam, Judaism. People need to understand that spiritual living can create clean living. It's like with the Bible, it's not the total word and rule that humanity needs to follow in today's society, but it was the guide to being able to survive throughout the ages.
Yeah.
And it's what helped humanity survive. So it is important. Rather, on top of that, I think another thing is you could compound education on that.
Yep.
I think a big issue is that we have bastardized education. We haven't handled it improperly. We bastardized it. We have fucked up education. We have defunded education. We have fucked education sideways. And the reason that education in the US is so messed up is because it's easier to have a dumb populace that to control than it is a smart populace that thinks and asks for itself. Look at Americans in the 1940s, 50s, and 60s compared to Americans in the early 2000s, 2010s, and the 20s. We literally are intellectually stagnant and intellectually declining. I mean, and people are going to say that's not the case. Well, look at COVID. Look at all these kids that did their schooling from home, they were stuck at home, and they got easy grades. I mean, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
You take the kids out of the churches, take the churches out of school, take the schooling out of kids, you start having kids that become monsters.
Great. All right. So political education said that he approached the RNC communications team about having an official TikTok, and they said the earliest would be 2028 before they used it. And then 12 Gauge says the country took a massive decline when they took prayer out of schools.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And prayer being taken out of schools, I'm going to put it like this. I think prayer should be allowed in school, but if you allow prayer in school, then you have to allow everyone the right to pray.
Yeah.
And if you're not going to allow everyone the same right to be able to safely and happily practice their religion, then fuck off. Like, it's that simple. It's
Yeah.
literally should be that simple, but it isn't. And, you know, the religious thing too, I have seen a lot of it, especially nowadays. The problem is introducing religion would probably be more damaging at this moment in time than anything just because of Israel and Hamas. And I
Yeah.
mean, education, the other thing too is that one is kind of also a 50-50 just because, I mean, shit, look at what happens when you tell someone a fact. You get called a racist.
Yep.
But I think the third thing, is that we need, at the end of the day, just truth. We need to stop censoring and dancing around things. We need to just say it as is. Call it as we see it.
Yep, just got to be blunt, and
Yeah.
that's what has definitely, I think, has made the decline. We
I
need
mean,
to tell these
yeah.
freaking men that they're not women.
Well, yeah, and that's the other thing too, is that, with the education, the religion, the truth, I mean, you have to look at other aspects, the mental health. We
Yeah.
have to start improving mental health, and we have to start improving, other aspects of life. We have to uplift society. I can take every single thing I could talk about. I could talk about how we don't need to be controlling guns at the heightened fascist dictator level at which they want to control guns. I could sit here and talk about how much I, think the gay community needs to be, embracing traditionalism and stop being so progressive and degenerate. I could sit here and talk about all of these talking points, or I could lump sum it into the only way to fix society is if we begin by uplifting these different aspects of society. You don't necessarily have to attack it head on and destroy it, but rather attack it in a way that fixes it, if that makes sense. So, if you want to combat the lack of morality and the degeneracy, then yes, introducing the philosophical, the moral, and the religious code back into society would assist. If you want to fix the issues with communication, with talking to one another, with open dialogues, then we have to go back to being honest and being truthful. We have to go back to where people can exchange ideas and exchange information and learn from one another and understand that right and wrong is right and wrong, but right and wrong can also determine learn and unlearn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was very well put. So we're gonna finish up these comments, and then we're gonna get on off. So 12 gauge says America's youth are taught to be happy little worker bees, memorize is the material and regurgitate it. No free thinking. Yeah.
If anyone, for all the Star Wars fans here, to quote Battle Droids, we're independent thinkers. Roger, Roger.
That's actually what I'm gonna be. I'm gonna be building a Lego set of Star Wars after I get off. So,
Hey, look, it's that or going out to the bars and clubs like the rest of the degenerates. And personally, I'd rather just be sitting at home with a Lego set.
well, I'm gonna be building a Lego set and watching the Bears game. So,
Well, hey, I really appreciate you for having me on.
yeah.
I was going to say, if you would like, you're also welcome to join the Discord and hang out with me after, as well as anyone else's. I'll post the link up uh, on my TikTok page, and I was going to say political_education on TikTok as well has a link tree that includes that.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna finish up with 12 gauges comments, and then I got one question for you.
Oh, sorry, I thought we were done. My bad.
No, I got one question for you. This is a question that I do for every guest now. So,
Oh, okay,
all right.
sorry. Go ahead.
Yep. Yeah. So 12 gauge also says need to remove these free roaming safe spaces where we as a society are afraid to offend people. Being offended is a choice, and that is primarily present in colleges. Now, the question that I always ask people is who is your favorite historical figure?
I'm silent because I'm actually thinking on it for a second.
Well, my longtime listeners know that I can officially now say King Arthur because they proved that King Arthur is a real person. So,
that I actually did not know. So you
Yep.
did teach me something today, and now I know what I'm going to be impulse researching after. But I was going to say, I think I'm trying to. That's hard. You messed me up on that one. Damn. I think one of my favorite historical people. Historical. Honestly, it would have to be. Fuck, I'm really struggling here. Because like there's so many that I like. That's the
Yeah.
problem, and I'm just trying to narrow it down. I'll make it easy on myself and for everyone else here. I'm just gonna say Teddy Roosevelt.
All right.
I
That makes it
I, I
easy
don't.
for you.
I was gonna say I don't like FDR. I like Teddy for two reasons. One, he got me with the fact that he's a hunter, like the national parks, all of that. Like I love just the outdoorsy, like the manly macho chadness. And then number two, the fact that they shot his ass and he still gave a speech. That'd be some shit that I'd do probably. Only I say this, and if it actually happened, I'd probably be screaming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you do research that King Arthur stuff, so I do want to let you know, it was proven that he was not a king, but he was a nobleman.
Hey,
So
either way, he lived.
Yep. All right.
I'll take it.
All right. Thank you all, and God bless.
No, thank you.